This is not my account. I hacked it. I am currently leaving the country where I believe I will be safe. The events I am about to describe happened in August, roughly 3 months ago. I had a boss at work who was an ex-cop. His last name was Scagnetti, but I will refer to him as Nettie for short. He talked often about his brother, who had moved from being a detective into the FBI. Nettie was an asshole, regardless of his previous public service. Protecting the peace, he now served busting my balls as an IT manager directly over me. Nettie passed me up for promotion several times, even though there was no reason to. He would publicly say in meetings he just didn't like me. There wasn't much else I could do in this situation. Small company with family ties and all. He was pretty much untouchable. Other than having a wife and kids at home and calling himself a family man, Nettie was a gossip queen. All you had to do was keep your ears open and you'd hear some interesting things about his life. My desk was just outside his office. I could slide my chair back and hear all of his conversations when his cronies entered his office to bullshit around when they should have been working. I heard his stories about when he was a cop. He apparently went undercover in a cult I had heard about. I believe their official name was the Children of the Nameless, or the Followers of the Nameless One. People usually referred to them in these parts as either the Children or the Followers. I heard him laugh a few times to his buddy about breaking some of their noses and beating them senseless before officially taking them in for booking during a bust. When the guys in the office asked him why he did that, he never answered and just stayed quiet. I figured he must have seen something that sparked his rage. I was more interested into details of his personal life. I knew he had a couple of kids and a wife and loved them, but he also mentioned some escort he liked to frequent on the side, some independent provider who fronted as a massage therapist on some sketchy website you can find online. Her name was Tina, a Brazilian bombshell that could make any married man give in to lust. Since Nettie screwed me on a promotion, I figured I could at least get him on camera with his pants down and send a video to his wife. I was planning on moving anyway. I already had another job lined up. Yes, I did take into account that he had a brother now in the FBI, but my desire for revenge seemed righteous in my mind. I still can't believe I was so stupid to have actually gone through with it looking back. Nettie talked a lot about his inheritance money, and I also heard him say several times that he had no prenuptial agreement and he was screwed if his wife ever divorced him. All I needed to do was get a recording and anonymously send it to his wife after I left town for my new job. The thought of ruining Nettie's life gave me a high that I wanted to chase until I made it real. I found the girl, Tina, on the sketchy website online and made an appointment for that following Saturday morning with a burner phone. I heard Nettie say often that Saturday nights around 8 p.m. was his usual time. I'd actually been planning this for weeks before I made the appointment. I had secured a little spy pen with a camera and audio recording features from some guys a few towns over in those weeks, and yes, I paid in cash. I made a few aftermarket modifications to it and ensured I could watch the live feed from it from my computer at home. I had it flawless and able to pass for an actual pen. The only way you would really notice anything funny about it was if you stared at it long enough to notice the little black dot on the metal clip. That was actually the small lens for visual. I guessed that not a lot of writing went down at Tina's, so I wasn't too worried. I just had to find a place to put it where it would fit in. Yes, I realize how stupid and crazy this sounds. I was an idiot then. Tina had a small office-type setting in an almost abandoned area of town. The traffic around the place was next to nothing during the day. It was the perfect perfect setting to run an under-the-radar thing she had going. She greeted me at the door for my appointment, and I saw the relatively small open room with a massage table in the middle, a couch on one end of the room, and a work desk on the other side. I saw a cup of pens on the desk with a perfect line of sight to the massage table and couch. Jackpot, I thought to myself. Tina gave me a brief 5 minutes to get undressed and went through a door to a smaller room in the back with a bathroom. In no time I had my device in place with the rest of the pens and lied on the table. I opted for just a massage. The whole looking for a happy ending thing isn't really my cup of tea. I'm too OCD about STDs and such. I will say though, I was surprised how good the massage actually was. I was almost fooled she was a real massage therapist for a minute. After the appointment, I pretty much stayed home the rest of that day. I went to my computer to test the equipment out around 5 p.m. Everything was perfect on the visual, and the sound was so good I could hear Tina flushing the toilet from the back room. I was about to turn the equipment off until 8 p.m. until I noticed a tall, olive-skinned Italian-looking guy walk through the front door. He stood about 6'2", and something about him just looked intense, almost hostile. He was wearing all black boots to jacket to shirt. When Tina came in from the back room and was greeted by this man standing in the middle of the room, she froze in her tracks, looking scared. "How are your kids, Tina?" said the man in a low, straightforward voice, almost no emotion. I already agreed to buy us, please." Tina was cut off mid-sentence by the man raising his hand for silence. "I have faith in your words. I was only asking a question," said the man apparently named Tobias. The man stared at Tina for some time before casually walking out the door. She rushed to the door and locked it after him, falling in tears and crying hysterically. I got up from my computer feeling very disturbed by what I just saw and poured myself a glass of scotch. I thought maybe the guy was an ex-boyfriend or something. Maybe he was some guy in the mob forcing her to pay protection fees or something. It was a sketchy business she had after all. Before I knew it, 8:15 p.m. hit my clock as I finished my glass of scotch, pondering all the possibilities of the strange event. I went back to my computer and turned the equipment back on to secure a recording of Nettie as I planned. But something in me started to regret this. That regret turned to pure fear when eyes witnessed the scene in front of me through the live feed. 2 men in ski masks, wearing all black, were standing over who I recognized as Nettie curled up on the floor. Nettie was grabbing his knees in pain with one hand, pleading with them in a mix of crying and shouting as he tried to scoot with the other hand desperately to the front door. The 2 men hovered over him, holding steel baseball bats. They just looked at him and slowly followed him as he tried to crawl away. A 3rd man in the same all-black cloths and mask stood with one arm around Tina as she sobbed into his chest. The 2 men each grabbed one of Nettie's mangled, beaten legs and dragged him to the back room out of the camera's view. Nettie shouted please and don't do this in loud bursts as he desperately tried to grab onto the door frame before being violently yanked out of sight. As Tina sobbed into the 3rd man's chest, I saw him look directly at my camera. He walked himself almost directly in front of my camera, Tina forcibly following his motions, while the man's hand stayed tight to the back of her neck. The opening in the mouth of his mask revealed a nasty smile as he pulled a gun out of his black coat jacket with his free hand. I turned my head in gut-wrenching fear of seeing what would happen next. When the sound of the gunshot rang through my speakers, I vomited all over my floor. I stayed on my knees too afraid to look at the screen. It was when I heard the sound of a chainsaw being started that I ran out of the room to my kitchen. I thought to call the cops, but I couldn't find where I put my phone. Chills ran down my spine when I realized I left it in my office room next to my computer. I ran outside my apartment, afraid to go back in that room, crying to myself for my actions, which lead to witnessing these inhumane things. I decided to rush back into my office only to grab the phone and call the cops. I didn't care about jail or any potential consequences for myself. I just wanted to prevent these sick bastards from ever doing this again. I rushed into my office to grab my phone, but almost fainted when I saw the camera was fixated on a man's face, covered in the ski mask. It's almost like he was waiting for me to get in the room as he spoke right when I did. His voice was low as he spoke into the camera. "Hello, you naughty boy. We don't know you, but we will soon. I myself am Brother Tobias, or Toby, High Shepherd of the followers of the Nameless One. Glory be to the Bastard of Chaos. We have cameras of our own we installed here for a few weeks now, so we know what you look like. Might I say the pen camera was rather clever. I don't mean to scare you, so apologies if this does. You probably want to go to the cops right now. I highly discourage that. We are many, and we are everywhere. We also love a game of hide and seek. All I ask is that you stay where you are and await our instructions. If you do, I promise no harm will come to you. If you do anything outside, it's not me who will tear your eyes out, but you'll wish it was." The camera went black as I fell to my knees, scared, feeling helpless. I didn't know what I got involved in, but my stupid thirst for revenge just screwed my life. The next morning, I awoke to a loud bang at my front door. I opened it to find a letter on my welcome mat. It read, "Hello, redacted. We are pleased you follow instructions well and simply want to offer you the following choices. Option 1. You can meet us in 72 hours at the Yellow Cat Diner, our humble owned and operated place of peace. We will show you the light of truth from here. Option 2. Simply go about your life and live in your world of lies. If you do choose this option, you must keep silence and never mention any of what you have witnessed or heard. If you fail to comply with either of these options, we will kill your grandfather. As to your fate itself in this event, it will have to be decided by the Bastard of Truth himself. Have a wonderful day, and may you one day bask in the light of the Nameless One, Son of Ra." I did what any sane person would do after reading this. I packed up my shit and hit the damn road. I wasn't going to join some demented cult, nor was I going to stay at my place where they knew I lived. I drove all day to my grandpa's place out in the middle of nowhere. I told him everything, and we both decided to leave the country. The only problem was that we couldn't just leave without any money. He needed some time to get his finances in order. In case they were watching me, I decided to lay low with some friends of mine several states away. My grandpa told me, for my own safety, not to contact him in case they knew where he was and were wiretapping or tracing any incoming calls to get to me. I didn't like the idea of leaving my grandpa alone. He was the only family I had left. He was ex-military though, and he assured me he would be okay and would beef up his home security system. We agreed on a date we would meet in the country we decided. It was in August I last talked to him. It's November now, and my flight leaves in a few hours. I hope the old man is okay and I see him again. I did forget to mention one thing. I couldn't just leave without trying to bring those bastards to justice. I used a burner phone to get in touch with Nettie's brother in the FBI, Vincent, not too long after I last hugged my grandpa. He assured me nobody would find out, and I gave him the details he needed. He promised me he would protect my grandpa. I hope he comes through on his promise.